Why U.S. stocks are the only game in town. I'm just talking about U.S. stocks internationally relative to the stock market as a whole. I'm not saying don't buy bonds or anything like that. But at the end of the day, why U.S. stocks are the only game in town. This is crazy, man. This is fantastic. So check this out from Breitbart. How dare you, Breitbart? Don't you know? I don't know. I love Breitbart Business Digest. I don't follow Breitbart. Ooh, I'm going to drink a sip of my LaCroix. That's good, man. This is Raz Cranberry. Hey, First Sergeant, good morning. Breitbart business section is fantastic. I don't read Breitbart. I just don't. But I don't read a whole lot of political stuff. It kind of bores me. But I love the business stuff. The sovereignty and innovation and the innovation of sovereignty. And I'm telling you, man, this is huge for the U.S. stocks. And this is why all these negative Nellies say, oh, stock market. Like I was listening to, what is it, Graham Stephen or whatever his name is, interview Peter Schiff. And I just get so over the crash is coming and whatnot. It's embarrassing to me. Why am I out in the sun? I just want the last few days of of sunshine on my beautiful, beautiful white skin. Just give me a little bit of a tan color so I look good for the ladies. My wife's coming back tomorrow, ladies. You got one more chance, your old buddy Josh. Anyway, Nobel Prize in Economics went to this guy, that guy, and this guy. All right. They explain how innovation drives economic growth. Their decades of research provide rigorous support for the policies the establishment spent years dismissing. The value of political sovereignty, the dangers of regulatory harmonization. Regulatory harmonization. What does that sound like? And the critical distinction between innovation-driven change and offshore-driven discussion. As far as we know, none of these would be described as economic nationalists. Yep. But their work undermines many of the key foundations for globalism and supports the stance of today's nationalists in the US, UK, and Europe. This is fantastic. Mockyer set out to discover why Europe became the world's economic powerhouse. And what he found was groundbreaking. Europe thrived because it was politically fragmented, not despite of it. Are you hearing this? Europe thrived because it was politically fragmented, not despite of it. All right. His research, for nearly a century, global governance enthusiasts have assumed that harmonized rules and centralized authority create prosperity. The EU's entire structure rests on this assumption. So do the international trade bodies and regulatory bodies and whatnot. But Mocker's research showed they have it exactly backwards. Europeans' division into dozens of competing states created a market for ideas where innovators could escape repression. If France's king banned your research, you moved to the Netherlands. If the Pope condemned your work, you found refuge in Protestant territories. Heterodox ideas survived because no single authority could suppress them everywhere. I just going back to Martin Luther, hanging out with the Pope and going after the heretics of the Christian faith. Kind of funny how, okay. Martin Luther and the Catholics getting together. It kind of cracks me up, actually. Just sad. Let's see. Compare this to China. He just farted. Technologically advanced, culturally sophisticated, but unified under a single imperial bureaucracy that quashes innovation across the entire empire. China stagnated while Europeans' economies saw explosive growth. And the implications for today's EU are devastating. Brussels now imposes continent-wide regulations on everything from AI development to labor markets to financial services. There is no escape valve. If the EU decides your business model violates its rules, your options are out unless you leave Europe. Brussels has recreated the Chinese imperial model. Yep, check this out. I remember a number of years ago, the EU had a banana issue here. So the bendy banana myth. The myth claims that the EU banned the sale of bananas that were not straight enough. Reality, the EU did have a regulation that set quality standards for bananas, which was response to requests from the retail industry. These standards included a classification system based on shape, with perfect bananas being classified as extra class, but there's no ban on any specific type of shape. That went across all the EU participating members. There's so many different cases of this. What was effective in Germany that Greece had to deal with. All this is freaking insanity, dude. There is no way to avoid the regulation come from Brussels. No way at all. Which is why Greece was going bankrupt, 20 years or something like that, 15 years ago, because like we can't compete with Germany in terms of our dollar, or the euro, in terms of the bonds. We gave up sovereignty. It was crazy. And it's just a scam. It's a scam. And let's keep going here. Brussels, yeah, we talked about that. The Latin secret, how cultural unity enabled political diversity. Here is a crucial element that makes the Nobel Prizes guys finding even more powerful. Europe achieved the ideal combination of political fragmentation with cultural and intellectual integration because Latin served as a common language of science, philosophy, and all learning across Europe. A scholar in Portugal could read the work of a German scientist. An Italian inventor could correspond with an English mathematician. The Republic of Letters operated in Latin regardless of which prince ruled your territory. This network of intellectuals sharing ideas across borders functioned above and beyond political divisions. This wasn't globalism in the modern sense. It was something better, a shared civilization heritage from Rome and the Renaissance that allowed ideas to flow freely while political and regulatory structures remained diverse and competitive. So again, they had communication issues in terms they were able to communicate via Latin, at least the educated class for sure. And then on top of that, they had unique state-run, or when I say state, country-run, if you will, regulatory environments. So you're familiar with Rudolf Diesel, right? So check this out. Here's a great man, Rudolf Diesel. All right, he was born in Paris. All right, check this out. About the outbreak of the Franco-Prussian War, his family were deported to England, settling in London, where Diesel attended an English-speaking school. All right, pretty good, pretty good. Before the world's end, his mother sent Rudolf to Augsburg to live with his aunt and uncle. And he became fluent in German. All right, pretty good, pretty good. And he enrolled at the technical high school in Germany. And he gathered practical experience in Switzerland. And then he returned to Paris. Okay, pretty good. He moved to Berlin in 1890 with his wife and children. Pretty good. Contrary, diesel engines were not, let's see here. Diesel engines soon became very popular in Europe, including Britain, due to several market factors and historical trends, while the British manufacturers contributed significantly to the technology. Early British innovation. The UK was home to some pioneering figures in the development of heavy oil engines. Richard Hornsby and Sons received a patent for the compression ignition from the 1890s before Rudolf Diesel's successful prototype. We got Ricardo, we got all kinds of stuff. Anyway, the point being was Diesel had, because I was reading this book, it's called The Mysterious Death of Rudolf Diesel or something like that. And he had like more, it's been a couple years since I wrote that book. It was a great book. He had more success in like recruiting UK firms to basically license his diesel engine than he did like in German firms or something. Don't quote me on that. And it was just, again, because there's something with Germany was going on back then. I can't remember the exact scenario where Germany was giving him a hard time for whatever. I just can't remember. But he had this escape valve to England in order to, hey, I want to promote my diesels. I just can't remember the whole thing anymore, so you have to look into that. And that's why I think he was actually on the boat to going to England, and ultimately we think he died on the boat. We don't know for sure. But it's incredibly interesting because he's a man of all Europe. He's going here, going there, going there. And the reason being was that he said, man, if Germany is going to give me a hard time, and I can't remember what it was. It's like the German company said, we're only going to license a certain amount of your engines, and Britain is going to license. And he said, well, Britain's going to license. I just can't remember. But he had an escape valve. And if it wasn't for that escape valve, and we don't know, we probably wouldn't be called a diesel engine. It might be called a Scanlon engine or something like that. But anyway, the point being was, if you don't have an escape valve, and you're just under this regulatory freaking Leviathan, there's no ingenuity coming up, man. There's just no competition. It's truly a top-down world. And a top-down world is not where markets explode and expand and gain money. It's in a bottom-up world. And that's still what America is, man. We still are competitive, run by 50 unique states. Don't forget, like I just listened today, like the data centers in Virginia. And there's some issues with data centers in Virginia. The 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania. These are states, entities that say we are willing to open up these areas, Yeah, again, not the biggest fan of data centers. I don't want one near me. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't like it. But what are you going to do? I mean, you can't you can't use the internet without data centers. Anyway, the point being is, it's like all these states are competing for entities. They say we're willing to take a risk on you to come here with the tax credits. All that stuff can be abused, but they're not putting data center. I mean, look just the movement of natural gas and oil. New Jersey, Maine, New England have just banned it, whereas other states have not. And the electricity prices in other states show it. On the other hand, stupid New England places are putting solar panels everywhere, which doesn't make sense, and wind farms. Okay, that allows a competition to say which is going to be better. School choice, Second Amendment. I mean, if you want to legalize freaking drugs and alcohol and all that crap they've been doing, it's great. That's what makes America so great. We have 50 competing entities. And some are idiotic, I grant you, and they probably think we're idiotic. That's fine. That's the way it should be. But we have to have a common language. Anyway, the point being is China isn't going anywhere. I'm sorry, China's dead to rights. What, India? Come on, give me a break. And then we got Europe. Europe's freaking dead to rights. The only game in town is the United States. If you're going to own stocks, you better own United States stocks, because everything else is just a freaking basket case. All right. God bless. We'll see you.